All right, all right. My name is Corey Williams, manager with Lincoln and Lincoln Heritage and Unity Life Group. And our guest today, I'm very much looking forward to speaking with my business partner, Mr. Ernest Wells. Has been with been with the organization for a little bit over 12 years, building a massive team with himself and his sister, and has been a regional manager here. Started as an agent and has worked himself up to building a pretty large and productive team. So. Without further ado, I'm going to bring on Mr. Ernest Wells. E-Dub, what's up, man?
Hey, Corey, how you doing, man?
I'm fantastic. I know busy times around the holidays and all that kind of stuff, and we're recruiting and trying to get out in the field and sell and help our agents and stuff like that. So I really appreciate your time today and appreciate you making some time to be on and sharing kind of your success story with Memorial Gardens and what you guys have been able to do. So I'm going to dive right in. Ernest, regional manager, Memorial Gardens. You came from the, I know you got a lot of experience and we've had an opportunity to kind of chop it up and get to know each other better. So
absolutely.
You came from the mortgage industry, if I remember correctly, right?
Correct.
Okay. And so I'm sure everybody knows what happened. I'm going to guess the year was probably 2008 or somewhere around there when the crash happened. Yeah. So what happened that transitioned you from, a lot of people go from mortgage to insurance for whatever reason. I think there's a lot of correlation, but
only the successful ones.
I knew you were going to say something like that. And I would agree. Knowing you, I know you, I would go ahead and I'm going to give you the nod there. So how did you transition from, why did you transition from mortgage to insurance?
Well, let me say this first of all, the success story is still a work in progress. and thank you for having me on, Corey. I think more people should do things like this from the aspect of, explaining to people a bit more about the business and the not only the front end, but the back end of sorts and some of the challenges and the pros and cons that go into the final expense in life insurance industry. So appreciate that as well.
No problem.
Well, going back to your question, mortgages. When I got out of college, came back home, and I'll be honest with you, I always knew I was going to work with my family. My family was doing very well. My father and mother had a mortgage company, but we also owned a home improvement company. So, we mostly did refinances. So if you had a certain amount of equity in your house, you could pull it out, pay off some bills, put some money in your pocket, as well as go in and get some work done in your house. So my father trained me in home improvement. But I also got my real estate license too. In all actuality, he always told me, he said, son, if you're going to sell houses, people are going to always want to know how much this costs to fix, how much it costs to fix that. So I spent a lot of time on the job with contractors, learning what they did, how to measure materials and things like that. So my background was, okay, I could sell a house, but I could also contract to replace the roof or also remodel the bathrooms or kitchens, things like that. So moving forward, back then, you could be a real estate agent as well as be a loan officer. And it really just had to pay like a fee and fill out a form and whatnot. So I would pull people's credit, see what they qualify for, look at their debt ratio, and then turn around and go find a house for them. So moving forward, the mortgage business was very, very good. And it was very good for my family. But what happened was it just got slower and slower by the year. And then before you know it, it was just kind of like we went through our savings, and it was just like, just keep working harder, keep working harder, keep working harder. And it just got slower and slower and slower. It went from, refinancing 70 properties a month or units a month to 5 a month.
Oof.
And it was just like, we're just not working hard enough. And we probably should have looked at it from a bigger scale, that the whole market was changing. And so then all of a sudden, every account rep that we knew at every lender was all of a sudden that lots of doors were locked at their buildings. They couldn't get commissions that were sitting up. And it's just like everything went to a screeching halt. It was a national thing. So, we still kept selling houses, but it just got really tight. So what happened was I mainly got back into the home improvement business, which was fairly good. But what happened was I started dealing with insurance companies. And moving forward, I said, gosh, the insurance companies sure have a lot of money. And they're paying out claims, missing shingles on your house, yada yada yada. All of a sudden, State Farm rep goes and cuts a $20,000 check, and we move forward, do the work. It was pretty sweet, but that just wasn't what I wanted to do in the long run. Home improvement was good for us; it was good for me, but it just wasn't what I saw myself doing at 55 or 60, moving forward. And my dad had always said, son, you should think about insurance business. He said, there's really good residuals in it.
Mm-hmm.
I said, man, that sounds really boring, though. And so I said, I don't know if I want to do insurance. And then what happened was a gentleman that my sister, we knew this gentleman who used to work for my father, who had started working in the insurance industry, and he worked at Lincoln Heritage Life Insurance Company. And he told my sister Chandra, he said, Chandra, you should think about coming aboard and working with me. I made $20,000 last year. And so my sister said,
Last year or last month?
Last month.
Yeah.
Last month. He said he made $20,000 one month. And that wasn't unheard of for my sister to make an income. So she called a mutual friend and she said, hey, so-and-so said that he made $20,000 last month. Do you believe him? And he goes, well, if he worked hard, he probably could have, he probably did. He didn't know if it was production or income or whatever. And so she went back to him and said, okay, well, I'm going to get my license and get started. Well, we were both in the process of getting our license, me and my sister, because we were looking for a change. It's hard to go from something you've been doing for years and years and years to make a change. But sometimes you get sick and tired and going through the lows I went through in the real estate business. Real estate's a fantastic industry, but I just had a bad taste in my mouth at the time. So transitioning over, and plus I ain't gonna say I was pretty close to being broke, man. I mean, the business things had gotten kind of tight on me. It was I had probably as far as financially 4 or 5 of the roughest years of my life during that time. So we both get our licenses. I'm finished up the home improvement business because I am, I had people's money, so I'm finishing their jobs. And my sister gets into Lincoln Heritage and starts working in the finalist events industry. And I come in probably 6 months later and start getting my feet wet. And that's how I got contracted and move on in. Yeah. So I've seen a lot of ups and downs in my life in the financial and as well as the being a self-employed, independent business owner, entrepreneur. And I'll tell you, I'm allergic to being broke.
Yes, sir.
I don't like it.
No, sir. Not at all.
No, I don't like it.
And we can make money here every day, right? So
absolutely.
First, thanks for answering that. Some of that I didn't know, and I know you and I've kind of talked about it, but I guess being in this setting kind of pulled it out. So thank you for that. Sure. So you come here, your sister comes here, you guys get licensed, you start from the bottom as producers, right?
Correct.
Start as producers, you start building, and then there's some opportunity that kind of opened himself up based off what you guys were doing. Or your sister was one of the top performers in the country, maybe even top 1 or 2 at some point.
Absolutely.
So you start building an organization. What does that entail? Because a lot of people get started in this industry. They hear all these things about our competitors. I don't want to say if I've had the good fortune of working at or partnering with multiple carriers or the bad fortune, because I've learned a lot, along the way. And I think Lincoln has it figured out, in my personal opinion.
Right.
So you guys get to the point where you start building. How does that go? Well,
when we came from the mortgage business, which we had been in for 20 years, we were brokers. So that meant that we dealt with, 8 to 10 different lenders. So coming to Lincoln Heritage, it seemed like it was simple. If I believe in the company, if I believe in the message, if I believe in the product, and you pay me when you're going to pay me, and you do what you say you're going to do for my customers when you say you're going to do it, okay, I don't need anybody else.
Right.
So the product was simple. So let me say this from a producer standpoint first. I think that you have to be laser focused starting off. I think you can't get distracted by other people always telling you should try this and things. I think you have to get tunnel vision, look straight ahead. And from a producer standpoint, we worked. We didn't worry about the politics and everything that went on and whether this was that and that was this. We just worked. We downsized our office from about a 4,000 square foot office to we got a small office with 2 cubicles and access to a meeting room in the other room. And we sat in there and we just beat the phones up, setting appointments and running appointments. Because in the real estate business, you get paid when you close a deal, you get paid every 30 or 45 days. So you need a pipeline of multiple houses to close. And they're always closing. One thing changes, maybe the home inspection doesn't go right, and then the seller and the buyer can't negotiate. All of a sudden, you ain't got a deal.
Right.
Someone's credit score drops. Okay, you ain't got a deal. Things
right.
happen. So what I found in the final expense industry was my checks were smaller, but I could get so many more checks. So all I had to do is get in front of enough people. It didn't matter if it was Saturday. It didn't matter if it was Sunday afternoon. It didn't matter if it was 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. Whatever it took, I just knew I had to go get it because I had a family to provide for. So moving forward from the producing standpoint, I saw this from a big picture standpoint. I knew that there's other people out there that didn't like. There's a lot of people working every day that don't like what they're doing. The final expense industry is easy to me because I think we're just talking to people. Don't get me wrong. There are some challenging times that come upon us, but it's the process for itself is pretty simple. So I think to be in leadership, in my opinion, you're someone who starts asking questions early on, the ins and outs and how does this work and how does that work and things like that. You're curious, so if you have a leadership that has someone in their agency that's asking a lot of questions because they're curious and they want knowledge, I think you should welcome that. I think you're a weak leader if you push away from people who want to know things.
I agree.
Yes, absolutely. So go ahead, Corey.
No, that's just helped us here, even in the St. Louis territory with,
right.
Our 2 managers that we've had. Barb just celebrated her year just a few weeks ago, and Ben is coming up. So our new leaders, and they're learning, they're developing, they're growing under you. And
they want to know.
That's exactly right. So they
want to know
all the time, and it's great because it's helping them push, and then they'll continue to grow their agency. So you said something that intrigued me because I know people that are watching this sometimes will go, we see a lot of companies, they post these gigantic.
This is not vodka, just so you know.
I was going to ask. You see a lot of companies post these gigantic numbers out there, and they're doing telesales and all those kind of things, which is great.
Right.
You and I have had philosophy differences on making dials and setting appointments as just having people go to the door.
Right.
What do you say? I interviewed this guy just a couple weeks ago, and which I was very impressed with him because he had already went and gone and got his license, right? And I asked him, what made you go get your license ahead of time before you even went to any insurance company and did anything? And he said he put it in Chat GPT, and he asked Chat GPT what was the recession-proof industry that was not going to get hurt by AI. And it came up the final expense industry. So it made him go get his license, etc.
That's good.
Being in this industry for over a decade, I don't want to talk too much about AI, but do you see our industry as being something that can still be lucrative? I can't remember the year, so I don't want to add too much to this, but I know when I was growing up, half the age I am now, we used to hear 10,000 people were going to be turning 65 every day in the U.S. I read a statistic just not even a month or so ago, and it's closer to 12 to 15,000 people in the next 5 years are going to be turning 65. A lot of seniors don't want to deal with the computer because they don't understand it, even though they're getting better with technology, those kind of things. What do you see in reference to our industry still being around where we're going and meeting people face to face and kind of the growth of what we're doing with that?
Well, I truly feel that AI would mostly impact our business from a recruitment standpoint. I just don't see where, we're face to face. Like you said, seniors like to talk to someone directly and shake your hand, look you in the eye. When not everyone, but for most part of the final expense industry or our demographic, people are on Social Security, disability benefits, things like that. They're not looking typically to leave a whole bunch of money to their family, but at least they want to make sure that they don't leave any kind of burden or bills or the expectation of funeral expenses on them. So when people already are on a tight budget, they want to look at you in the eye and know exactly the person that they're dealing with.
Hmm.
I've seen the market change over the time since I've been here, and I started out primarily as someone who scheduled appointments. I don't think, and I've transitioned over to more of a door knocker, or maybe a combination of both. But I like going straight to the door now. I didn't have a lot of knowledge of going straight to the door when I came in, so that's why we train on it now because our agents are so successful at it. Not to mention, in all actuality, most people don't really have the discipline to sit down and make the phone calls, or have the grit to make those calls and deal with the rejection to get them 20 or 30 appointments set on the books weekly.
That's right.
That's just my opinion, because I knew what time. I knew the sacrifice, the time, the anguish of, from my wife, of me sitting on the phone, running appointments all day, or door knocking in the day, and then coming home and then sitting on the phone from 6:30 to 8:45 setting appointments. Or I knew what it was like to be in the office, get up on Saturday morning, go to the office and be there by 9:30 to get on the phone, and then working from 9:30 to sometimes 5 o'clock on a Saturday, setting appointments because I'm going out of town the next day. I mean, you find me someone who knows they're going out of town on Sunday to go to work, and then is still going to spend their whole Saturday at the office on the phone. Most aren't able.
No, and won't.
And won't. And
Yeah.
won't. There you go. I was on a plan. I had a plan. So
Yeah.
so in saying that, I cannot imagine, unless AI can, unless Elon makes a robot with two legs and puts a name badge on him, and he teaches him how to door knock, I think we're okay.
Absolutely, I would agree.
My opinion.
So, yeah, well said, by the way. So, last couple questions here. As you have, you guys have seen hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, maybe even thousands over your course of your over a decade of being here, being in this industry. Uh, what makes a successful agent? Because a lot of people, and I know I bring this up all the time, but you see all this stuff from some large corporations in our country. They're laying off, they're furloughing, they're, all the stuff that's going on with that and the economy and all that.
Right.
What would you say that if somebody is looking for a real opportunity, a real six-figure opportunity, if they're willing to put the work in with the residual
Right.
back we talked about, what would you say to that person?
Well, first of all, I would say, if other people are doing it, then it's not impossible. That's what I would first start off say. If you want to make $100,000 in your first year, or if you want to write up 400 or 500 clients, it's possible because other people are doing it. I'm
Mhm.
sure there's probably other people at your company that are doing it, but you need to have an idea of what you want. You have to have an idea of what you want as far as your goals. You have to have support at home, and however that support is however it is. I know some guys that get support from their spouses by their spouses might call their beneficiaries. They might send out mail and things like that. I didn't want my wife to be involved in my business. My wife supported me by doing what? Taking care of the house and making sure that my daughter was good to go, so I could just focus on the task at hand. But I think from a new agent, you really have to set your goals for yourself. I believe time management is crucially important. You have to set yourself a work schedule. When I'm going to work, when is my last appointment, when's my last door knock, when am I going to do my administrative work, when am I going to work on my service report, or my people who've canceled, my people who are late on their payments, or things like that. When am I going to set time to call my beneficiaries? When am I going to take time out to mail my thank you cards, my birthday cards, and all these sorts of things? Like you're running a business, so you have to set time management, because most people, if you don't manage your time correctly, then you're just running around like a chicken with your head cut off.
Yeah.
And you have to, we always say this, you have to give yourself an opportunity to grow in the work, because most people, you come in and you're on chapter one and you see other people doing so great, and you're like, gosh, how is she writing 20 grand a month and she makes it look so easy and she's always kidding around and things like that. And it's like, well, she had to work up to that point. So you have to be consistent. Everyone thinks you go out and throw a big number on the board and you're the end all be all. Be consistent in everything that you do. be consistent in your production, make some consistent income. And if you become a consistent $10,000 a month producer, then you can make some changes as far as getting more leads, calling more referrals, and seeing more people. And then you can become a consistent $20,000 producer. But everything that you need to do, it needs to be consistent, and you need to have great time management, and you have to understand about limiting distractions, because we always talk about the above board things, leads and chargebacks and door knocks and how many door knocks or how many hours. But let's talk about the other side of things that comes to distractions. Does your significant other, whether that's a spouse, girlfriend, whoever, do they want to see you successful? Does the person that you lay your head down next to every day want to see you win? When they start seeing the transition and the change, and you going from a person who's used to working a 9 to 5 to becoming this confident, self-employed entrepreneur, can they handle it? Do they feel like you're leaving them behind? These are important things.
And that's real.
To talk about.
Yeah.
If everyone in your family is used to working blue collar work, and now they see you walking around with the shiny shoes on, and now you're wearing a suit to work, and then all of a sudden do they think you're too good for them, or do they support you? These are things that you have to ask yourself, because your circle might have to decrease. You can't come home and talk to someone who has never worked a commission job about how you didn't make any sales today. Because if you come to me and say you didn't make any sales today as an entrepreneur, I say, well, did anything good happen out today? Yeah, I made some contacts with people. This lady right here told me to follow up with them. I talked to this person right here, talked to this person. Okay, well, it wasn't such a terrible day, because what you're doing is you're sowing seeds for the harvest that's coming up next. The next person is going to talk to you and say, oh, you didn't make any sales today? Well, it's not really what they said it was going to be. So what that means is they're going to say, man, you need to go find you a job.
Yeah. Especially this time of year, right? Thanksgiving.
Especially this time of year. 100%.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was one of the things that we talked to our team about yesterday, is about making sure that you're aware of those things, because your family's going to, how's that new insurance job going? It's probably going like,
are you still selling insurance?
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. After 25 plus years, I still get that. Are you still in insurance? I'm like, man, you've been doing it for a long time. Yeah, I know. Trust me. I get it.
I got a policy last week. I wish I would have do.
That's funny. That's funny. Ernest, what states are we currently, I know where we're predominantly at, but what states are we currently recruiting and helping families in?
We are in Arkansas, Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Tennessee, and we recently just acquired Kentucky as well as West Virginia.
Awesome. So if you're interested in finding out more about this opportunity and joining Earnest's team, you can either reach out to myself or Earnest, the number on the screen, 888-647-2978. Again, 888-647-2978. Ernest, I'm going to ask you my kind of parting question to you. Again, we talked about, if somebody's looking for an opportunity, they're tired 9 to 5, they're afraid they're going to get furloughed or whatever the case is. What would you say in closing? What would you say makes our opportunity something that someone should look at?
Well, what are some of the benefits? The benefits are you have control of your own schedule. You're not being micromanaged daily. You get to go out and sit down with some wonderful people every day. You get to go out and help people every day. And a lot of what we do is we're just out talking. We're having conversations with people. Is it challenging at times? Sure it is. But what in life is not challenging when you're doing big things? We get paid really quickly, and we also build some residual income, and we have a lot of fun. I would say someone who is tired of the grind of a 9 to 5, someone who wants to take more control of their life, someone who start looking long term for the benefits of the residual aspect of the insurance industry, should give it a try. If you're a personal person and you like talking to people, and you don't want to be in a cubicle or set on a schedule, then you should invest in yourself. And the life insurance final expense industry is an awesome industry to be in. It's recession proof. There's people dying today who've never died before, and they need our services. There are people who, everyone's not going to be in a position to leave their family with $100,000 or $200,000 or $300,000 insurance policy, but the responsible thing for an adult is to at least have enough final expense life insurance in place to make sure that when you pass away, that you don't leave any kind of burden or bills on your loved ones. And with it being recession proof, COVID proved it to me. Every day proves it to me that next time you drive by a cemetery, they're building, they're growing, they keep building. People are going to die, and they need this kind of coverage. And having a final expense policy can make all the difference in a family's life when they lose a loved one.
Right. I would agree 100%.
Absolutely.
Again, reach out to Earnest if you're in one of the 7 states that we represent. You're looking for an opportunity, or you're looking for coverage in any of those states. We can come face to face, which we prefer, or we can meet you, do it over the phone to help you out as well.
Absolutely.
Ernest, it's been an absolute pleasure, my brother. I hope you and your family have a fantastic Thanksgiving. Thank you for inviting me down. I will take you up on that offer at some point.
Very soon, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your expertise, your brotherhood, your fellowship, and I'm looking forward to the future as we continue to build together. So thanks again.
Same here, Corey. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
You as well. Bye. So that was Ernest Wells, Jr., regional manager with Memorial Gardens. Been at the organization with Lincoln Heritage for over 12 years now. He's just doing an absolutely tremendous job. I've been fortunate enough to work with Earnest for a little while now, and we've been able to build a massive team. So if you're looking for an opportunity, you can reach us at 877-959-6797. Again, 877-959-6797. We'll get you hooked up with myself or one of my managers, and we look forward to talking to you. Again, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Looking forward to hearing from some of you, and bye for now.